Hey everyone, this is Zero. So today I'm just gonna show you guys what I got from Kinokuniya. It's a Japanese bookstore and has a bunch of amazing art books, and they have new art books like pretty frequently. So today, first time in a long time, I decided to go over to Mitsuwa Marketplace and get some ramen for lunch. And after that, I stopped by a Kinokuniya, which is inside Mitsuwa, and just went through a bunch of art books. And I got myself these two new ones. They're not exactly new, actually. I think they're showcased, opened art books for people, customers to look at. But these were the only copies that were left on the shelves. So I bought these, not at a discounted price, but I think it doesn't really matter for me. I did clean it up after I bought it, but I'm pretty happy with these purchases. I was super impressed with, I'm a huge fan of Granblue Fantasy, and I didn't know they had this extra works book with like more of a work in progress, showing concept art. I have all their other art books. I highly recommend that you guys check them out. I'm a huge fan of the way they took the art direction for the game, and the art books have been super high quality, and they're mostly like illustration concept arts, not really the conventional concepts that you see a lot of Western art books show, but it's more of like, yeah, these kind of stuff, really beautiful. Yeah, the art style is super consistent and strong, very, very, very iconic, very appealing. But for this art book, it's gonna show not just the illustration concepts, but really the inside deep thinking pre-production side of the game development of this game. I personally don't really play the game or have played the games, the mobile games, but I'm personally looking forward to I think the AAA title version of this game coming out. I believe it's being developed by Platinum Games. I don't know if you're aware of the game company. Platinum Games have developed Bayonetta 1 and 2, and I think 3 is coming out exclusively for Switch. They've also done Metal Gear Rising. So they're incredible. Platinum Games has a high reputation in terms of making games, so it looks fantastic. It retains the art style, the iconic art style of this game and this IP. It's surprising. What I'm super impressed about this IP is how consistent and cohesive the art style and art direction is. I'm sure it's not just made by one person. It's not just one single artist that works on this game, but several. It's my assumption. I don't know. It could be maybe one or a few artists that worked on it. But based on an article that I read, I heard that there are, I think, one or two main artists. Maybe it's just one. That does the final pass. I think I apologize if I don't know his name. I think it might be Akihito Yoshida. I should have researched it before. I apologize. I think that's kind of disrespectful not to know his name. But I'm a huge fan of the art, and I do believe. Let me just look it up. I do have my iPad right here. Let me look it up real quick. But I do know that this person has a team of crazy talented artists that does a lot of the pre-production work. And surprisingly, it's really it's really consistent. It almost looks like one person did the whole thing, which is very impressive. So the artist is Hideo Minaba. Let me look him up and confirm that. Yeah, I apologize. It looks like he has worked on... He's been on the Squaresoft before it became Square Enix. It looks like he worked on one of my favorite Final Fantasies, which is Final Fantasy IX. I can't believe I didn't know his name. I feel pretty ashamed not knowing that. But yeah, the article does talk about how he has a team of like a bunch of artists, like I think people that are a fan of his work and has kind of designed their skills, and they learned a lot from him just by being a fan and kind of trying to mimic his style, I guess. And over time, I think they were picked up by the studio, by himself, and probably has helped develop this game. And it's crazy how consistent this style looks. It doesn't, like, if you look at a lot of other art books of different games, like, you can tell like who worked on what, or this was obviously done by a different artist because of the style differences. But it's crazy how consistent everything looks here. Even the craft, like there's no one image that looks like it's out of place, like it looks unfinished, or it looks way too much rendered. It has like a very set of like kind of the rendering look and final look to it. Like it kind of has a pastel-y look and that soft almost watercolor look. But yeah, I'm not going to show every single page, obviously. I think you guys should, I encourage you guys to go pick it up yourself. Usually if I don't go to the physical bookshop, I order them online. Sometimes Amazon has it at a good discounted rate, but this time when I was at the store and I compared it with Amazon, it was like $10 to $15 or $20 more. So I decided, you know what, even though it's opened, even though it's not completely new, I'll just buy it. It's not like really torn up or anything, so I don't really mind. So yeah, these pages, the previous books, the art books of this game does not show much of the work in progress and pre-production stage. And right now, we're witnessing the pre-production side of it. It's amazing how it's not super highly rendered or like super polished up, which pre-production should not look like it's like an illustration. But the craft is so nicely done. It looks really pleasing, and then it's still clean enough to look at it. For non-artists to look at it and really know how to give feedback and like in an unbiased way. As a concept artist, you do want to make sure you're presenting these options to non-artists, because at the end of the day, you do want to sell ideas to them, to your producers, to stakeholders who are who are higher ups who are making all these tough decisions on whether to commit with this thematic and idea. And they're the ones that have to make these hard decisions, and they trust the artist. And as artists, our job is to help them see what this brand could become, how we can shape it even more. And because they're not trained as artists and they don't see the way the artist sees, it's important for us to kind of present the artworks as easy and clean and convenient as possible. But these are just absolutely amazing and beautiful. Yeah, I do have this character. I mean, she has a different skin outfit right now, but I have a figurine of her, and even the figure itself, they look consistent and they capture the style of the face, the art, everything, just one to one. They know how to, whoever, the art director Hideo Minaba, the main artist and art director, knows exactly how to shape the IP as consistent and holistic as possible. And that's one of the things that I admire so much, and I do want to try to replicate and get better at personally. I've done that over time with like Star Guardian, Elementalist Lux, and the latest one, which is KDA, like making sure it looked holistically and unified. And all the different characters with different personalities, they come together in one single package as unified and cohesive as possible. But yeah, these are just super fun, and it's really rough sketch, and you can tell these strokes are pretty simple, and it's not like chicken scratched, right? It's just like maybe it's done like he probably did like a line art on top of another, like redid a couple of times to get it clean, but most likely they're experienced and skilled enough that it's probably done in one go. But yeah, even the VFX has very distinct shapes. It has line art, a very, very clean, clear shape. It's not something that's super like soft like the usual VFXs. They put a lot of thoughts into the shapes of the VFX. You can tell right here, even some of these like summoning magical runes. Yeah, it's very different than how we concept in the Western game industry, I think. I want to kind of try to adapt this kind of way of doing concepts. I think it's super fun, even though it might not be used, like it's not gonna be used and like handed off to 3D modelers and production developers, but at the end of the day, if it helps you get immersed into the world and just to think, get your thinking and solving these, coming up with solutions. If it gets you to think in a fun way while having fun, I think that's where you want to be as a concept artist. The mindset and the zone that you want to be in. Yeah, this Halloween. Yeah, I did say I was not gonna show all the pages because I wanted you guys to even support these guys, but it's probably okay. Or I don't think I'll get in trouble for showing all the pages, because looking at the book in person is it's a lot better, even better. I would prefer seeing like printed copies of the art books instead of seeing like a digital version or PDF version online and on your really nice displays. I think this experience isn't the same looking at it digitally on the screen itself. Yeah. I think for 2019 resolution, I need to focus more on doing dynamic poses, capturing character personalities within a moment. Yeah, these guys know how to do these super well, and I'm so curious how many artists there are on the team under Hideo Minaba. I mean, the design flow is so clear. This design language and is established and repeated, very nicely balanced. It's interesting, a lot of the details are, I think, reserved at the top because that's the important area. That's what you're gonna see the most. So I'm really, it's really interesting and cool to see that. The other areas are more simplified. And even the armor and the way the clothing is designed is very much more modernized, and you can tell by the cuts of it. It's high fantasized but also modernized. These wing shapes are beautiful. Right? Oh, this is pretty interesting. I mean, this is the state that it's left at. It's not finished, but I guess it did its job for the artist to move on. This Homa shape is pretty crazy. Oh yeah, this guy is pretty awesome. Oh yeah, this character I think is, I know this artist. His name is Ovopack, Ovopack. He's an amazing artist. I can tell by even though his style is distinct, it does blend really well with this IP. His personal style is very much like this, but I'm glad that he's working on this IP and project. And it doesn't make him his work doesn't stand out to kind of break the rhythm. It still feels unified. This does look kind of different compared to other artworks, so not that it's a bad thing, but it's subtly different. You can tell slightly that it's different. It's not a bad thing. It's pretty normal, but I'm just impressed at overall how unified everything looks here. Yeah, wow, it's beautiful. Yeah, they go all out. They don't hold themselves back, because I know a lot of people, some people tend to have that stereotypical argument about, oh, does this armor make sense? Is it functional? No one's gonna be able to wear this in battle in the war. But at the end of the day, these are stylized games. These are high fantasized stylized games. The point is to create something that's, it's kind of believable, but also, you would normally not see in the real world. That's the whole point. And you know, there's no right or wrong answer. That's just my opinion on things, and I admire how these guys don't hold themselves back and just go all out on designs and the shapes. Not to the point that it's like super ridiculous or it's causing so much busyness or noise. It still feels like it's complementing the look of the game, the whole art direction. It's following the art direction pretty well and consistently. Oh yeah, these monsters are great too. And because Minaba has shaped a lot of the worlds of Final Fantasy, you like subconsciously, a lot of us who have grown up loving Final Fantasy titles and just being exposed to that kind of the visual look. Looking at Granblue, you'll be instantly, it will feel very familiar and relatable, and has that the hook, like almost coming back home. It's like coming back to your cozy place, cozy home, but has like some really exciting elements. Wow, this piece right here is like almost 70% all like VFX. Man, I should kind of try to do that too. Focus more on VFX and using that as an element for selling the character. This is kind of the layout for the concept illustrations that are in the other books, and then a lot of in the games. Some different options for that illustration that was in the very front. Yeah. Oh my god, this style is just beautiful. It's so simple. Yeah, I mean, over years, this is something that has, I think Minaba has shaped his style to be like this, and very unique to himself, and it stands out without being like forgettable or grotesque or unappealing. I mean, I think that's a better word, unappealing. His style stands out among other games, but also I think it will age really well, because I do see a lot of people like borrow the style and even go to a different direction and develop it even more. It's super consistent. I can tell he's very confident with the style, and there's no need to go like divert and experiment and change the style or anything. He has it down. He has 100% down. Very, very confident. Doesn't have to second guess himself while working on it. He knows the exact process. I can tell that because how consistent and how every one of the character concept illustrations look like it's done by the same person. Yeah, on to another book, but this one I'm not familiar with this IP, but I picked this purely based on what I saw and how attractive, how impressive I was with the art. Yeah, it just has a very kind of I guess I'm really into that traditional like painterly pastel-y look. I sometimes do that for my own personal art, but I don't really have those like I haven't been able to replicate the watercolor look of it. It looks more digital, but yeah, if you look at this, and there's a lot of these like very subtle brushstroke indications, like right here. It's like the very, very hard edge, and it sort of blends out into like the soft gradient. And there's a lot of that if you look very closely on this on all these artworks. Yeah, it's just I don't know like Japanese really well, and I'm not too sure who the main artist is, who the art director is for this particular IP. But yeah, I'll try to look that up. I don't even know what this is called. Atelier Sophie Frisbee. Yeah, I apologize about that. I should have done like a research ahead of time before recording this, but yeah, it's just amazing. Look at how ridiculous her power source. It's kind of like, I mean, there's a lot of giant fist girl characters that exist globally, but I haven't seen anyone kind of like this yet. Yeah, I think I'm even more impressed than the Vi design that I did. I wish I could redesign her if I have a chance, but look how ridiculously big, how large these gauntlets are compared to the character herself. And there's a huge contrast too of the style, how crude and strong, hard material the gauntlets are compared to how soft she is. Soft and how feminine, very cute compared to like the aggressive nature of this armor. The fact that she can wield it doesn't have to make sense. It's fantasy world. She probably has some kind of alchemy or some way to manipulate the power of the gauntlets at her own will. So that's why I love how ridiculous they go with their character designs. Again, 2019, my resolution is capturing characters in the moment, especially when I'm doing concept illustrations. I think I should try to understand and showcase their character personalities, and even like right here, I don't like she looks confused or clueless or something, or in the middle of reading a book. Who would have thought of this kind of pose? But it sells the personality. And this guy's like, you want some coffee? I think. Yeah, you can tell the artist is different for almost every page, which is not a bad thing. To reiterate on Granblue Fantasy, I'm just impressed at how collectively, like all those artists have a very similar style, almost to the point it looks like it's done by one single person. Yeah, Hideo Minaba, right? Yeah, this is. Yeah, these were obviously done by artists with a couple of different styles, but they're all impressive. They're all done really well. It's amazing. It's so cute. Look at this dress. It's huge. I'm skipping a few pages. Yeah, look at this. Look at how rough this sketch is. I wonder if you guys would be interested in me seeing me do this. I have a hard time trying to keep it at the state because I think I'm a little bit OCD, and I feel like I need to go as far as possible. But you know, art is not all about that. There's beauty in unfinished, like more rough looking artworks too. And there's plenty of artists that I know, that I follow, that's able to capture that and do that really well. Yeah, even this one looks completely, yeah, it looks not completely different, but it's just, I mean, in a good way, it looks really cool. I think because a lot of these have kind of the pastel-y look, this one not as much. You do see it. You do see kind of the watercolor texture to some areas, but this one especially has more of the watercolor look. I wonder how they get that effect. Yeah, look at this moment that's captured here. Whatever he's sitting on or she's sitting on is, yeah, it's like a dripping down. Some liquid is melting. Wow, this proportion, I think it works. Look at how small her torso is compared to her head size, but that's the style. It doesn't look totally weird or anything. It's risky to try to make that proportion work, but it works. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to look through all this because I looked through a few random pages and I was like, yeah, I'm sold. I'm buying this book. It was about, yeah, it was $56, probably plus tax, or probably $60. But on Amazon it was about $65 or $68. This looks beautiful. What is this? Is this the in-game character models? Yeah, I think this is my other 2019 resolution. I'm really bad at, or not comfortable with doing illustrations, so I need to try to do that. Let me turn it. I don't really know the game. Like maybe these are like story scenes with like captions and like bubble with text on it. She's some sort of alchemist. Yeah, of course it's anime, right? It's beautiful. Oh wow, there's so much So much illustration in this book. It's amazing. Yeah, I think this is one of my favorite sections, and why I bought the newest Granblue Fantasy book with this book, because of the pre-production, character rough designs, and I love how they try to keep the pose as neutral as possible. I also do this because I want to make sure whoever I hand this design off to, usually the 3D artist, they have to see as much of the information as possible. So you don't want some dynamic poses to cover elements of the designs, like the arm covering the front of the design. Also, you want to keep it neutral to give them all equal chance to be showcased and presented to artists and non-artists in order to get non-biased feedbacks. Because oftentimes if you have like 3 neutral poses and for some reason you decide to do a very dynamic pose for the 4th one, obviously people are gonna choose that over the other ones, even though it probably wasn't the best option or best option that represented a character within the thematic. If that happens, I mean, it's fine. You don't want to get into that situation in the first place. You can, as long as you say, hey, what about the other ones without the fancy pose? What do you guys think of that? This is amazing. This is such a small image, but I'm so interested in seeing a bigger version of this. So detailed. The shape is beautiful. The whole feel of it is just wonderful. I think this is the same character with the big gauntlets. Maybe it was showing just the gauntlets for that in that image, but I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens. Like, does it complete into full knight armor? Yeah, these are just. I love how simple the background is. It's I usually avoid trying to put characters in like gray background because there are some areas that can just get lost in the gray because it's a mid-tone. But I'm pretty impressed with how these are presented. It's so clean and appealing to look at. Yeah, this inspires me to have more fun doing pre-production stuff. I think, us, at least for me as a concept artist, I tend to spend a lot of time in the final image, or maybe half of the time. Half of the time I do pre-production stuff, but the other half I make sure the concept illustration is presented as polished as possible, but this is such an important stage of concept art, because once the concept is locked and the design is approved, it's harder to go back and fix some designs. You have to make sure that the overall design looks cohesive with whatever event it's part of or thematic. Well-established thematic it's part of, even it should feel cohesive with the entire the IP, whatever the art direction is. You have to make sure it blends in seamlessly within existing characters in the IP. Yeah, just look at how modernized these outfits look. It's obviously has the elements of like the old kind of what is it, like whatever it's inspired by, like Victorian it's going for, but you know, it's modernized, and you do, like, nowadays that's pretty popular. That's kind of the philosophy for designing like characters these days. If you want them to last and age well, last long and age pretty well, you don't want them to have like very historically accurate outfits. Otherwise, they just don't age well. Yeah, super cute. I don't know who she is, but I do want to know more about her. And it's and I'm impressed with this, like more primitive kind of thematic. Like these are really harder to pull off. Like really hard to make them appealing, and because of how, because like primitive kind of thematic. I'm not saying bad things about it, but it's just I had a hard time working on that kind of stuff, because I think at least the players tend to get drawn to more of you know, like very high level armor, and just aggressive and sharp, hard material armor, like dragon armor, more than like something that looks more soft and brittle, or primitive, right? But it's designed pretty well. Oh, look at that backpack. Holy shit. Yeah, that's super cute too. This. But yeah, I hope you guys are having interesting time watching this. I know I'm not super good in front of camera and just talking in the camera. I think over time, hopefully I'll get better at it and be able to explain things more thoroughly and in a more entertaining way. But this is how I do it right now, and I apologize if it's causing you to like fall asleep. But yeah, let me know. Feel free to private message me anytime on Patreon or on social media, or even like, you know, comment on Twitter or Instagram. Just tell me how you like this video. Feel free to suggest any ideas on like what books or anything that I can do. Yeah, I'd love to do more of these. I do have a lot of art books, and I have a lot of favorite art books that I love to talk about. Yeah, I apologize if I don't know all these artists' names. I just get drawn to how well these are designed. So it looks like these are the 3D models. Is it 3D model? Yeah. It's pretty high production quality, actually. I don't know what this game is. It looks really appealing. Wow. These are things that a lot of Eastern developers know how to execute really well. They care so much about like the aesthetics and how the final models look, and make sure that they look very appealing. But yeah. All right, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching all the way to the end of the video. Yeah, feel free to let me know. This is gonna be $10, or I mean $7 and $10 patrons timed exclusive, and I might release this on YouTube. If I do release on YouTube, please feel free to comment below. I'll try to read them all. I don't, and I'll also, subscribe if you like. It's kind of a cliche YouTube thing to say, but I would love to be able to share more of these with a lot of people, and I haven't really gone full-time YouTube or anything. It's only part-time. I'm doing it for fun. So yeah, feel free to share with other friends, comment, and subscribe. Hopefully I can bring more content in the future. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a wonderful 2019 New Year. All right, bye.